Hi, this is Carmen with Painted and Planted, and today we're going to do a simple upgrade of an IKEA storage unit. This is an IKEA MOPPE, I'm not sure how you say that, but what we're going to do is first we're going to just give it a light dusting to remove any dust and remove all of the drawers. Then I have selected this paint by Melange Paints. It's part of their One series, which includes a primer and a top coat. And this color is Devotee Blue, which is one of my favorites. It's this moody light blue color with a little bit of gray, maybe a little bit of green. Just a lovely color, and I really enjoy using it. And the One paints, they don't give off a lot of smell, so you can use them indoors. So as you can see, I'm applying this to all of the exterior areas and then the drawer fronts. Now I say the drawer fronts, but I'm actually using the back of the drawer. You can see the front originally had that little divot in it where you could open and close it. But what I'm going to do is turn them around, and I'm going to put knobs on them. And that's one of the great things about this little storage unit is it's really versatile in terms of you can leave it as is and just leave those little dents to pull it out, or you can apply knobs. This is super great paint. I'm putting on 2 coats. So I put my first coat on, it dries in an hour, and then you can go in and apply your second coat. I like to go ahead and let it dry for the full hour. That helps me see if I've missed any spots and ensures that I get a nice even coat of paint. I typically don't need to apply any water to this paint. It goes on very smooth and it self-levels really nicely. Now we're going to have fun with a stencil. I'm using a Venetian Plaster by Up Paints as my base, and then I'm adding in some different colors to make it a little bit darker, and I'll put the colors in the description for you. So I've got my stencil in place, and you'll notice I'm holding it nice and firm and tight by putting some little pieces of paper and paper towels on the sides of the drawers, and I put some pieces under some of the drawers as well to make sure that they were all the same level. Now, using a little flat sponge applicator, I'm applying this green mix of the Venetian Plaster and paints to all of the areas that are stems on this stencil. It's a lavender stencil, and it has both the stems and then the lavender. So I'm just tapping very gently. I only get a little bit of the product on the sponge each time so that it doesn't smear and run. And it doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to do a little bit of a touch-up after we remove the stencil. But you just want to get in there, go straight down. That helps keep it from going underneath the stencil. This is not a peel and stick stencil. It is just a nice heavy kind of plastic that I have taped down using painter's tape. Now I'm going in with this lovely Aubergiene color by Dixie Belle. I absolutely love this color. It's a really deep, rich purple, and I'm applying this everywhere the little flower petals on the lavender are. Same thing, I'm using a little sponge applicator, and I just get a little bit of paint at a time on it and then dab it onto the stencil. Once I've got all of the areas completed, I don't let this dry in place. I will then very carefully remove the painter's tape. Careful to keep the stencil from sliding around because I don't want any of the damp paint to smear. And then I just lift it off. So you can see it's not perfect when you first take off the stencil. So I get a real thin tip paintbrush. I just pick these up in packets at Michael's or Hobby Lobby in different sizes. This one is very thin. And I'm going over the stems and the branches, adding some stems in between at the top of the flowers where I missed it before, and filling in any spots that either didn't get enough product or I just wasn't happy with the coverage. Nobody's going to come up close and look at this with a magnifying glass, so freehanding is not a problem. Don't be nervous, just go ahead and do it. I'm extending the stems as well down to the base of the little storage unit. I think it looks better to have them go all the way down to that bottom edge versus just kind of hanging up there in the air. So just be creative and follow the pattern to the best of your ability. Here's kind of where we are. Now I have picked up this lighter purple color, kind of a lavender color. And what I'm going to do, once again, with just a real fine tip brush, is get a little bit of the paint on the brush and then just dab it on. This helps provide some dimension to the flowers. With the solid purple before, there had been some areas where it had gotten on a little bit heavy and was just kind of a blob of color. This makes it look like the individual petals of the flower. So I just do this over each of the flowers, adding in these little dots of the lighter lavender color. The best thing that you want to do is don't get too much paint on your brush, because it's always better to go in and add more color than it is to try to remove it once you've got it on your piece of furniture or your craft project. So you can see, I don't do it perfectly, I just get it on there. Once those paints have dried for about an hour, then I go in and fill in the two sides. For this particular project, I used half the stencil to add and fill in the right side of the front of the storage unit, and then I'm going to do the same thing over on the left side, but I lowered the stencil down a little bit. This way it's not going to be even all the way across the top, but will kind of go low to high from left to right. Now, I don't want to spend a lot of money on this project, so I found these cute little miniature drawer pulls at Hobby Lobby. $1.99 for 6 of them. That's perfect for a small project. And then I used the same paint that I used on the storage unit to paint them. I applied one coat, let it dry for an hour, and then go in and apply the second coat. And then these are going to be placed on the front of the drawers. In order to get them nice and even, what I do is I use a ruler and I go from corner to corner and then just kind of draw a little line with a pencil around what looks like the middle. Same thing, line it up nicely corner to corner, draw that line, and then where the two lines intersect, that is your middle. I have a hole punch that I use to then punch and give me a starting point. Erase the little bit of pencil. It comes off very easily from the paint, doesn't leave any marks. And then I grabbed my electric drill with a small drill bit and drilled a hole for the screw. So after that, I applied the painted knobs and we're almost done. Here's a reminder what this looked like before. Cute and functional, but kind of blah. And here's what it looks like 24 hours later. Sweet little container you could use for coffee pots, tea, crafts, anything like that. If you like what you see, please follow me for more.